words are hidden as best as possible. I suppose. Stuff that in. And yeah, I guess I could put this over on this side. Should be hearing me still. These different noises. Put that right here. How does that look weird? A little messy. Okay. Hi everyone. Good morning. My name is Keisha, and I will be guiding us through our yin flow today. Good morning everyone. My name is Keisha, and I will be guiding us through our yin flow practice. Hi everyone. It is the morning here in Tucson, Arizona. Good morning, y'all. Hi everyone. It is the morning here in the Sonora Desert. Okay. Hey everyone, it's Keisha. It is the morning here in the southwest part of America. Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Keisha, and I am coming to you here from the desert of Arizona. It is the early morning time, so we are going to be doing an early morning yin flow. So to start our practice today, we are actually going to do the opposite of what I normally do for our yin flow practices. And we are going to start off with our holding poses and then gently transitioning into our more fluid flow-like sequences. The intention of this is to help gradually wake up our bodies, especially in the mornings when we come in most stiff. So to help us ease into our practice, we'll go a little lighter and then transition into the more active content or the more active sequences. So let's get started. So for our first pose, we'll go ahead and come into a seated position with your legs extended long in front of you. And if you'd like, you can prop yourself up on some kind of material, whether that's a pillow or a blanket, it does not matter. I find that this is supportive for me, especially in the mornings when I have really tight hamstrings. Elevating yourself a little bit will help decrease the intensity of the stretch. And then once you find whichever height you are comfortable here, you'll go ahead and take whatever materials you have available. So I, again, have my bolsters and my blankets, but if you don't have any of these props available, that is completely fine. Really anything around your house can work, whether that's a pillow or a little stuffy, as my students would say. But whatever you find, go ahead and place that material in front of you. And you can kind of either keep your legs together or spread them slightly apart for more of an inner hip or inner thigh stretch, excuse me. And then once you have that set up, go ahead and lower down your head any amount. So whether that's placing the forehead on the bolster, or maybe starting off with your chin, if you're feeling a little more tight this morning. And then start to settle into our shape here. As we come into our practice, especially first thing in the morning, we might notice some resistance, some holding tension that our bodies have carried through the night. So I encourage you to be gentle with yourself here. The aim is to continue to cultivate and, I suppose, preserve the calm, quiet stillness of the morning. This sacred time before we come into our day and start our busy lives. This moment can be a really nice opportunity to root back into our sense of self, into our inner wisdom, before we move and engage in the world. So let your breath be long, let it be easeful, and allow gravity to do its work here. And you may notice yourself wanting to come deeper and deeper into the stretch as time goes on and we continue to release all that different tissue, all the different fascia in the body. And so if you need to adjust the bolster or even remove it entirely from underneath you, you are welcome to do so here. Take a few more breaths in this shape. On your next breath, start to slowly lift yourself back into an upright position. And then pause here for a moment, taking time to notice what you notice, any sensations or subtle differences, similarities from now and the beginning of practice when you first arrived on your mat. And then once you've taken note, you can gently release the shape here, either keeping your legs extended long in front of you, or you can come into a cross-legged position. I am going to turn and face the camera, but you can stay as you are. I'm just going to reposition myself so that you can see me a little more clearly. And then from here, we'll go ahead and bring our awareness to our chin as we lower down and drop the gaze. Stretching the muscles between the shoulder blades. Let your shoulders be heavy here. And taking deep inhales and exhales as we breathe into the spaces that might feel more tender, more tense. Invite a bit of release. Then on your next breath, gently lower your right ear to your right shoulder, feeling into the stretch from the tip of your left shoulder all the way to the crown of your head on the left side of your neck. And breathe here. Then lifting your gaze up to the ceiling as you send the base of your head back toward the earth. And lift your gaze up high, feeling a stretch in the front of the body. And then lower down to the opposite side. Left ear over left shoulder. Again, bringing the shoulders down like a weight. Just pulling them back to the earth. Feeling into the right side of our neck here. And then return chin to chest. Now you can continue this movement with those little pauses that we took, or start to make the movement a bit more gradual and fluid. One continuous movement without any pausing or stopping. Or continuing to create those circles and then actually pausing and stopping in any areas that might feel a little more tense or need a bit more attention. Without forgetting the breath. Take your deep inhales and exhales as we ground and center our bodies before we come into our day. If you're moving in one direction, you can go ahead and switch in the opposite. Taking this time to really tune in and notice not only the different sensations that become present in your body, but also taking note of how does our body respond? What signals to us that we are in a state of release and surrender? What movement allows for us to feel more spacious and experience pleasure in our own tender vessels? When you're ready, come back to center. And then from here, we're going to take those circles and bring them and isolate them up to our shoulders. Moving one shoulder at a time. Rolling them forward, up to the ears. And then toward the back. Before going back down, forward, up, and to the back. Allow your movement to be gentle here. Excuse me for hitting my microphone. And switch in the opposite direction. You can make this movement as subtle or as exaggerated as feels supportive to you. I like to incorporate my hands a bit. I feel that it really helps me to get deeper into the stretch, into the movement. This is something we often do in dance class, actually. A lot of what makes dance beautiful is the involvement of the entire body, your entire torso with whatever movement that you're doing, while keeping the joints, the elbows, the wrists, the fingers nice and soft. And then taking both shoulders and moving them toward the front of the room, up to the ears, and then back down. Moving them together in one continuous motion. And then in the opposite direction. Inviting a bit of fluidity, movement into the spine. And then from here, coming back into your neutral position with the hands on the knees, we'll go ahead and make those circles, but this time with our chest, using our hips as an anchor to the earth, and moving our torso as fluid as the wind that swirls and creates these spirals, these beautiful spirals that we see out in nature. Sending your heart forward and then to the side before moving to the back of the room, to the opposite side, and then back forward. Maybe connecting movement to breath. If that serves you here, one of my teachers always make sure to mention that not everyone feels comfortable syncing movement to breath. For some, it can be a lot to coordinate, it can be a lot to think about when coming into these movements. So really do what serves you here. Move in the opposite direction if you haven't already. This practice is not only meant to be chill, but it is always, always meant to serve you. So if you feel at any point that any suggestions I make are not supportive to you, whether that be syncing movement with breath or really any of the shapes or sequences that I offer, don't quite sit right, I always, always invite you to take an alternative approach. This is your practice, this is your body, and your space to reconnect to your own inner wisdom. And much of the medicine of yoga is cultivating our skill to do that here, to practice that here. When you're ready, come back to center. And just pause for a moment, coming back into stillness. Then on your next breath, we'll inhale, reach the arms up as you root down through your tailbone and send the fingertips up to the sky. Roll your shoulders away from the ears. Engage the abdominal muscles as you pull belly into spine and create length through the side body. And then exhale, fold forward. Sending your tailbone in the opposite direction of your fingertips. Leading with the chest, gaze comes forward until you feel complete, and then bow your head down. Bringing it to the earth any amount, whether that's hovering a couple inches off the ground or gently placing your forehead onto your mat or blanket or whatever you're practicing on today. Then with the hands pitched up on the fingertips like a tent, we'll go ahead and walk our hands over to the top right corner of our mat. Lengthen long through the spine as you root through your left tailbone here or your left hip here. And then squaring the chest to the floor, gaze forward, we'll go ahead and melt down. Breathing into the sensations that become present in our outer left hip here. And then slowly, slowly glide yourself over to the top left corner of your mat. Again, create that length through the side body as we feel the stretch connect all the way from our right hip to the side of our right extending hand. Chest square to the mat, gaze comes forward to start. And then leading with the chest, slowly melt down. And when you're ready, slowly come back to center. Gradually guiding yourself back up. And then actually rolling forward over your shins, come into your tabletop position. So for this shape, I always like to have a blanket nearby. I can place it under my knees that are quite sensitive. I invite you to do so here if that serves you. Then with the wrists in line with the shoulders, knees slightly wider than the hips, we'll bring our toes to touch and then send our hips back to rest on our heels, coming into your balasana, child's pose. Again, with these first few shapes, we're still leaning into our more yin-like postures. So nothing really needs to be active here. Allow your body to settle and surrender as we relax into our shape. Let the weight of gravity do its work here. And maybe even imagine our body sinking deeper and deeper into the earth's embrace with every exhale. On your next breath, slowly start to press yourself back into your tabletop position, bringing knees once more in line with the hips, wrists in line with the shoulders. Then from a neutral spine, we'll go ahead and inhale, drop the belly, create a small arc in the lower back as we shine the heart forward, gaze comes up into your cat position. And then exhale, pull belly into spine, round through the shoulders, tuck the tailbone under as you press the earth away. This is cat pose. Excuse me. I said the last one was cat pose, the other one was cow pose. I'll edit that out later. Inhale, drop the belly, arch the lower back, shine your heart forward, gaze comes up. And then exhale, pull belly into spine, round through the shoulders, tuck tailbone under, chin to chest. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one, inhale. And exhale. Go ahead and continue this movement with your own breath. Maybe this time start to invite a bit of movement, moving back and forth. Let's create those little arcs in the spine and move in this fluid motion. You can even exaggerate the movement, maybe even lowering the hips all the way down to the earth, coming into your modified Bhujangasana. And then exhale, sending it back into our child's pose. Or if you'd like to go back to that circle framework we were working with earlier, excuse me, you can start to incorporate a bit of that movement here too. I always like creating circles with my hips and with those neck rotations. Those seem to be the areas that are always needing some kind of attention from me. I don't mind. It feels good. And it definitely helps to have space to practice that here. A few more breaths of this intuitive movement here. And then when you're ready, come back to center. Now from here, we're going to open our bodies. What do I mean by that? Well, first, let me move this bolster out of the way because it is in my way. Sorry for the loud noise first thing in the morning. So from here in tabletop position, we are going to internally rotate our left hip and then plant our left ankle in line with our left knee so that our shin is parallel to the short edge of our mat. Then stacking onto our left hand with shoulder in line with wrist. We'll press into the outer edges of our left hand and then stretch your right arm up, stacking shoulder blades on top of one another, opening wide through the heart here. Then leading with the hands, we'll go ahead and create those circles again, opening up through the chest, and then sending the fingertips over to the front of the room, back up to the ceiling, and then opening wide once more. Again, fingertips roll forward, come up, avoid the tree if you have one in your way, and then exhale back down. Go ahead and continue with this movement in your own time and way here. As we continue to open up the body, open up our heart space, and maybe even sync breath with movement. Now the next time your head stretches toward the front of the mat, your right foot will follow. And then stepping just beside your left hand, we'll take both arms and frame the front foot as we come into our Anjaneyasana. Press into both legs as we squeeze the front leg and the back leg in toward one another. Send the tailbone down as we bend into the front knee and create length through the spine. Moving up and down, forward and backward in our pose here. Invite a bit of movement as we come deeper and deeper into our stretch. Sitting nice and proud. Sitting up nice and proud. Then on your exhale, plant the hands, frame the front foot. As you then continue this motion, but when sending the hips back, we'll go ahead and straighten the front leg and bringing our foot into a flex position. Inhale, bend the front knee, Lower the hips, send the heart forward, gaze forward. And exhale, send the hips back, straighten the front leg, flex the foot, chest to upper thigh, or belly to upper thigh. That would be impressive, or interesting rather, if your chest came to your upper thigh. Continue with this movement here. And the next time your front knee bends, go ahead and plant your left foot on the inside of your right. Then the next time your left knee, then the next time your front knee bends, go ahead and plant your left hand down just outside. And the next time your front knee bends, go ahead and plant your left hand down back in line with your left shoulder. And then inhale, stretch the right arm up, keeping your left knee in toward midline as much as possible. As we toad and twist the abdominal muscles here. Opening wide through the chest, sending energy through the fingertips. Tailbone. Sending the head in the opposite direction of your tailbone. Create length through the spine. And exhale, return hands back to your frame foot. And then slowly bring your right foot back to meet your left. Coming back onto those pitched fingertips. Go ahead and stretch our side body here, creating length throughout the spine, pressing fingertips into the mat while we engage at the shoulder blades. And then switching to the opposite side. Shin comes parallel to the short edge of the mat. We'll turn and twist our body so that our right wrist is in line with our right shoulder. And our left arm comes up, opening through the chest, creating length through the spine here. And then we reach toward the back of the mat. And then fingertips come forward, creating those big circles in the shoulder joint here. Now the next time your left arm comes forward, go ahead and swing your left foot to meet it, placing it in between the framed hands to start, and then pressing into both legs, lifting yourself up into Anjaneyasana. Whoops, almost fell over there. Which, by the way, if you feel a bit imbalanced in the shape, a helpful thing to try is to widen the stance of your legs. So coming in more narrow will make it a little more difficult to find balance, but we're creating a wider base that can help support us. Moving in and out of this shape here with our mini lunges. Bringing the hips up and sending them back to the earth. Staying tall through the spine, reaching through the crown of your head. And then on your next exhale, framing the front foot, continuing with that forward and backward motion, but when we send it back, we'll go ahead and straighten the front foot, flex the foot. We'll straighten the front leg, flex the front foot. And then bend the front knee, lower the hips down, shine your heart forward. Now the next time your front foot bends, Go ahead and plant your right hand back under your right wrist. And then reach and stretch on up the left hand. Fingertips up to the sky. As you roll out of the bottom shoulder, stacking shoulder blades on top of one another. Left wrist in line with the right wrist. Breathe here. And exhale, return it back down. Swinging your left foot to meet back with your right foot. Go ahead and sway the hips side to side. Once more. And then once you feel complete, we'll go ahead and take our right knee and place it just outside of our right wrist with, both wrists staying in line with the shoulders. So coming from our tabletop shape. And then bringing our right knee just outside of our right wrist. Our right ankle can come anywhere between from under our pelvic bone to right up behind our left wrist. Of course, the more parallel our shin is to the short edge of the mat, the more intense the stretch will be. So pick your poison here. Then once you feel steady and even, coming back onto our finger pads, stretch long through the spine, lifting the gaze, lifting up through the crown of your head. And then exhale, fold forward any amount. This might be another place that would be good for a prop if you'd like to make use of that. For here, I've got some bolsters. I got some blocks that I may make use of. It's also important that we keep our hips even here. So if you notice that one hip is sinking lower than the other, then I invite you to go ahead and grab some kind of resource for you to place your hip on top of to help make it even. And breathe here. On your next breath, bring hands back in line with shoulders. Gently press yourself up into a tabletop shape. And before going into our opposite side, maybe swaying the hips a bit here. And then once again, from our tabletop pose, we'll go ahead and bring our left knee on the outside of our right hip to help us with that external rotation in the hip joint. Then pressing into the fingertips, we'll lift ourselves up, creating length throughout the spine. And then exhale, fold forward any amount. When you're ready, start to slowly press yourself back up. But keeping the legs exactly as they are. I'm going to turn and face you again so that you can see my angle a little better. So with our pigeon legs, we're going to go ahead and take our back extended leg and sweep it over and around so that it lands just outside of our bent knee, like so. Then from here, creating a degree of evenness between both sit bones, planting to the earth. We'll reach our right hand back behind us, and then inhale, lift the left arm overhead. Exhale, tone and twist, planting your left arm on the outside of your right knee. And then twisting our spine over to